Hi sailors, I am Sheshpal and welcome to my channel Maths Pirates. In previous video, we discussed the aspect of one-to-one correspondence where we covered the physical demonstration of how people used to count or track the record of the quantity of objects. One thing we need to understand is tracking versus counting are two different terms here. Tracking in the sense people used to track, people used to maintain the substitute objects which mean one stock for one object, right? Counting in the sense it is the second level abstraction tool. Accounting is a second level abstraction tool used to measure the quantity, right? When it comes to counting, it's a completely different perspective as compared to tracking. Tracking in the sense maintaining the substitute rec- record of the original stock to ensure that one single object of a stock for one thing, which makes them track the process of trades and tracking maintaining the record of quantities, right? In today's video we'll be covering the aspect of the counting tools. We'll be covering the aspect of counting tools. What does it make the aspect of counting tools? That you might understood the word itself tools in the sense they might have used some built objects as a part of, or they adapted to certain new type of system of counting to track the record. As a part of counting tools, as I mentioned in the previous video, one-to-one correspondence as an example of tracking the livestock using stones. Of course, in that, as a part of counting tools, stones were used, sticks. Coming to the aspect of stones, one object implies one stone. Each object stands for each stone. In sticks, each object implies each stick, right? Many people across the world they adapted to the new style of counting depending upon the tools they have used. So everyone, it doesn't mean that everyone followed the same system, right? They've adapted their own style of system of tools depending upon their convenience and comfortability. Stones, sticks, and tally marks. Tally marks is the well-known method of counting the objects. In the aspect of tally marks, suppose I have these many apples, right? But without using numbers, we can't give an abstract representation of this quantity, right? So the tally marks favored by adding one line for one apple and other line for one apple. Suppose similarly I have this quantity of apples. How can I maintain a track of quantity of these apples? For one apple, one line. 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 When it comes to the fifth number, they used to prefer to cross it like this. Why? The answer lies behind the biological formation, the biological structure of our hand. The maximum count of fingers for a single hand is 5, right? That's why, in order continue as a connection to the biological format of our hand, it is considered that one, two, three, four, and fifth apple a single cross, and for another again another line. This is the aspect of tally marks. One line for one object, right? Another aspect is knots. What does the knots mean? Number of tied points on a thread. Let me explain with an example. The same example of group of a collection of apples, right? I have this quantity of apples, right? When I try to use the method of knots to make a track of these objects, suppose I have a single thread over here. For this thread, for one apple, one knot. For this 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 apple, one knot. And for this apple, one knot. Right? It's like whenever we try to wear a shoes, we make a process of knots, right? For a shoe to be fixed to our for our legs, right? The same process. For one knot, one object. One tie implies one object. Everything we are discussing is some of the alternatives within one-to-one correspondence, which we have covered in our previous video. After the aspect of knots, the next aspect will be tokens. Tokens were preferably used. Tokens were preferably used to maintain a track of changes in trades, which probably used in many different sectors in those days, right? So these things are the alternative aspects, the alternative procedures the ancestors of the world had used as a part of tracking the quantity of objects. See, as I explained, tracking and counting both are different things. Tracking in the sense a detection, it's like detecting the quantity of object, and counting is the second level abstraction tool, which we'll be covering in the further sessions of this video, and we'll be covering in detail about token tally marks. And after covering the aspect of tally marks, we'll be entering into the main topic of numbers, where we'll be understanding different system of numbers and the major system of number, that is the number system, the counting system that the present era world has adapted. Okay guys, hope you are enjoying the journey into the world of mathematics with me, with the mindset of sailors sailing the seas of knowledge in the ocean of, in the sea of maths. Let's meet in the next video. Until then, bye bye.